Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to your morning watch list. And we got some pretty cool things to cover today. Okay, maybe not that cool, but pretty cool. So I hope you guys like the video. Smash the thumbs up button. Comment whatever you want. I am LOMNNOP. You can do the whole ABCs. You can comment whatever you want. It's really just there for the YouTube algorithm. Okay, so the cool thing we'll start off with here is SPY, or we could do even the Q, but for the couple thousand of you that watched yesterday's video, in which we're hoping to get that to more than a couple thousand, because after you see this, it's kind of cool. All right, so yesterday, and if you haven't watched yesterday's watch list, make sure to go back and watch that one too. Right, yesterday we said that right now we currently have the market on resistance yesterday at this dotted line. Okay, and then we mentioned that it was probably going to be a red day because we were on resistance, and that we would probably pull back to our next near-term support, which was what? The yellow solid line. Look what happened. Yesterday we pulled right back to the yellow solid line. And the bounce occurred later in the day, right at our dotted red line, which is just overlapping that of our daily chart. So yesterday we were able to pretty much 100% to a T tell you is going to be a red day and that the price of the market would pull back to the 349. So I love when we're able to do that. That's cool. It's not always the case, but to be able to do that pretty much to a T 8 hours beforehand, that's pretty impressive. So I'm really, really happy about that. Pat on the back, Connor. Pat on the back. Okay. So right now, if you're thinking the market's going to go lower on this pullback, it can really only happen if you successfully cross through 349. So if we go to the daily chart, again, we do have a couple gaps on the downside. We have one gap, two gap, three gap. Right? So there's actually a lot of gaps here to fill. Now, I don't think the market's just going to come down and fill all these gaps. It just seems pretty much impossible right now. But I do think you could see a little bit more action to the downside because, again, you just bounced from the correction we had, you just bounced all the way back up 10%, right? So, I don't think it would be bad to see this pull back, maybe even fill this gap down to 347, okay? So I think you could see a little bit more downside on the market, very possible, but really only to anticipate that can happen when you successfully cross below your one deviation mark here at 349.46. So that's what I think a lot of the market's looking for right now on the downside of this pullback is to get below 349.46. And once that actually happens, we might go to fill that gap. Now, if we jump over to the Qs, okay, QQQ. Pretty much my target on the upside right now is anywhere from 304, 303 to 308. I think that's pretty much what the markets want to do in the near term, right? That's what they're thinking. Okay, push back up near the all-time high, and then we're going to have a double top. Okay, well, we'll have a double top right at about 308. So what I think we're seeing is just a short intermediate pullback before we can push up to the all-time high, and then we have a little bit of a stronger pullback. That's kind of what I think is going to happen here. Something else very important to pay attention to is the RSI. Okay, if we look at where the relative strength index was prior to this recent correction, you had a high of just 80. It was 80 on the RSI. Okay, now we pull back. We're on the way up. We're almost back to the all-time high, and the RSI is at 63. So in the event the market goes into a new all-time high, let's just say the market goes up to this box. Say it goes up somewhere like there. Okay, if it goes all the way up to here, well, if it goes to the green line, there's for sure going to be a downside short play, 100%. Okay, but if it goes all the way up here and the RSI does not surpass that, then you can be sure there's probably a big pullback on the way because that will be a negative divergence or a bearish divergence in the market. So that's the other thing that I can foresee can happen in the future without even being there yet because of just the way this has started, right? You had such a high RSI here of 80. You're down at 63. You're almost back at the all-time high. If this continues into the all-time high without going past 80, you will essentially create a bearish divergence like so, and then we'll probably see that pullback that I'm referring to. But for now, we're really just looking for the previous all-time high as a price target for the time being. Right now, this morning, the stock NIO broke out. So this was something that I was watching. I didn't get involved in it, but the stock has already broken out. So there are going to be a lot of people watching the stock. I'm going to keep an eye on it. if I may, we're going to put this on a 4-hour chart. You can see that this was just consolidating sideways in a bull flag for the longest time. And I was actually watching it, wanting to trade it, but I woke up this morning to it already happening. Okay, so the stock has already broken out, right? And if you look at it, we just start with a big, what is that, like almost a dollar gap, and then you have, so it gaps up, and then you have 1, 2, 3 candles that pretty much make up most of the move. Okay, and then you had multiple candles that go up to create the last portion of the move. But most of the move that happened, most people were not even able to trade or get involved in, because you had the overnight gap. So unless you were swing trading, you wouldn't have gotten it. And then you would have had to be up at, I don't even know what ass crack of dawn that is. That's not, I mean, what, 3 in the morning? Who's up at 3 in the morning trading? I'm not. I'm sleeping. So are you. So by the time most of the world even woke up today, let's just say the early birds starting their day at 5:30, which I sometimes do, the price was right here, and there really was no long move to trade since then. You had a couple dips, but pretty much since the time most people woke up, there was really nothing to trade here, other than, or sorry, there was no breakout to trade. There was only some dip buys, excuse me. And there was a great dip buy here, right? This is at 7 o'clock, right? 7 a.m. is when TD Ameritrade really kicks on. You can see all the volume pick up. That's another important tip for you. In pre-market trading, you will normally notice at 7 o'clock there is a lot more volume that picks up on pretty much any stock pre-market that has some volume or it's traded decent pre-market. 7 o'clock, you'll see the volume kick in because that's when you can trade on TD Ameritrade and probably some other brokers. All right, so we're going to be following NIO, okay? First, we want to look at the long-term chart. Long-term chart, 4-hour chart, that is. We have price targets up to 25.50. Same thing with the daily chart. If we go to the daily chart, it's the same exact price target right there. So the dotted line here exists at the exact same point as our 4-hour solid line right here. Oh, wow. Or not. What did I, oh, that was a daily. Was it a daily? No, what did I do wrong there? Huh. Maybe I just did that wrong. But they exist really close. Okay, so not exact, but 25.58 to 25.40. Those are the price targets on the upside right now for NIO. You can currently see we're doing what? We are holding resistance right now on this level. So until we successfully cross through, call it 23.90, we're not going to break out again on the intraday. So until we successfully get through this price point today, we should not break out anymore today. Now, if we go to the intraday chart, you can see that 23.94 is the pre-market high. This is almost always going to be the case. That's why you always hear, look for the pre-market high breakout. Look for the pre-market high breakout, because that pre-market high breakout, it's not that you're breaking the pre-market high. I mean, you are, but it's because, see, look at now the 4-hour chart's like that. Oh, did I look at a 1-hour chart? I might have done that wrong. I clicked that wrong. Excuse me. Completely forget what I totally just said there. But long story short, this is still a good level to watch where you can see it's respecting. So right now the 23.90 is the breakout point, which is still pretty much the pre-market high. But what I was going to say is many times when you're talking about a pre-market high breakout, it's usually sitting right at one of these resistance points, okay? So anywho, right now the intraday support is really this trend, right? So you see this trend going up, that's the support. Look at where it lines up at. Okay, so your intraday support is that trend line. That one. Look at where it's lining up. Bink, bink. So while you are thinking that, hey, we have the pre-market support here at 23, right, which isn't wrong, I'm saying, well, it's actually this trend line. So by the time market opens, this trend line could be like this. Hold on. That trend line could be something like, man, it might be a little much, so let's just do it like that. The trend line could be something like that, okay? So when you're saying, so let's run through the scenario, okay? So you might think this is the pre-market support, which it is. You had support there. You had support. It could still be the support, but I'm going to tell you that the trend line is most likely the support. By the time market open rolls around, that trend line could be probably about right here. It might be. If this kind of keeps trending up a little bit, this trend line might be somewhere right here. So while you have your support mapped off at 23.14, my support's probably going to be up here now. All right. You ever know those situations where you map off your support and then the stock goes down really close to it, never reaches your support, and then it bounces and you don't get your trade? That's because support and resistance are constantly changing as price and trend change. Again, markets don't trade horizontally, right? You're typically taught that markets bounce on horizontal resistance or support, which is true to some extent. But if you think about it, does the stock market trade sideways? Do we make money when it trades sideways? I mean, not really, right? Markets are typically going up or down. So support and resistance is typically trending up and down. It's not trending side to side, right? And even here, you can see it happen, right? Let's go back and look slightly, right? You can see here, look at this, ready? So the absolute low here, let's do that. I don't want this trend line. Hold on one second. So you can see here on NIO, the absolute low of that bottom was there. Look at this one. Didn't tag it, right? It was up here now. Okay. And then when market opens, let's just say that NIO pulled back all the way this trend line. This trend line will probably be somewhere like there, maybe. So the support's really going to be like somewhere like there. Excuse me. It could be like this, right? Support could be, it could be right there on the trend line. It could be right there on the trend line. It could be right there on the trend line. It could be right there on the trend line. The only way support will be on this bottom here at 23.23 as support is if the market just opened up and went straight down, okay? But if the market opens up, trades a little bit this way, and then say it drops out at 10 o'clock, then the trend line would be right there, right? Because if the trend is going up, but the market drops out right now, where's your support? Your support would be right there. But if, again, the market goes sideways some more and then it drops out, then the support would be right there. And you can see that's how it's trending up. So now you think, well, when should we buy? Well, sometimes you just got to wait and watch the stock and let it trade to your levels, right? You don't actually take any action while it's moving. You just wait to get to your certain point, and then you go the opposite way. So anyways, there's a lot of information I just gave for you on that particular stock. So you should definitely just take your forehead, smash your keyboard, make sure you hit the thumbs up. All right, or it's actually well, you can smash your keyboard and click that way, or you can smash your face into your mouse. Whatever one you think hurts less, you should go with that route. So NIO, that's going to be on watch. Next one we'll talk about here is Tesla. So we're going to be watching Tesla for a long move all the way up to the 476 price, okay? So we're looking for Tesla to pretty much break this little pennant flag pattern, whatever you want to call it. Again, everybody's always like, it's not a flag pattern, it's a pennant. It's not a pennant, it's an ascending triangle. True, there are differences based on how they look, but let me explain something, if I may. Ready? So this is what a bull flag looks like. Okay, something like that. Okay, that's what a bull flag looks like. Okay, a pennant looks like that. Okay, an ascending triangle looks like this. Okay, and what do? They all go like this. They go up and out. So again, whatever you want to call it, it really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's the same result. Okay, you could take 2 plus 2 to get to 4. You could take 2 plus 1 plus 1 to get to 4, or you could take 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 to get to 4. Again, I don't care how you do it or how you look at it. Guess what? You're going to get $4. Okay, it's the same thing. So however you want to recognize it, however you want to say it, it's completely fine. And if anybody tells you differently, just tell them they're a jabroni. It doesn't matter. If it goes up, it goes up. So we're looking for this market on Tesla to pretty much get through this previous pop, knock out, and it's, look at, ready? So we're looking for it to get through this previous resistance, okay? We're not looking for it to get through this previous resistance. Well, hold on, that's actually incorrect, okay? Watch. Well, we are a little past that now. So we are looking for it to actually get through this resistance. I did that wrong. But we're looking for this price target right here. 476 is what we're looking for. So we're looking for this market to go up to that target. And the reason we think it can break these resistance points is because that's the trending target. Now, if this trending target was down here and it matched up with this resistance, then we would not be looking for the market to break the resistance. We'd be looking for the market to go to the trend. But that trend exceeds the previous top. So we're looking for it to go through the resistance to the trending target. So we're going to be long bias Tesla today, looking for this to break out. You can already see activity starting to peak up here. So we're going to be watching Tesla long bias for today. Now, there was some stocks that popped up this morning. I already traded IDXG for a small loss. It's actually going through a little bit of a bounce phase right now. Looks like SGLB hit the scanner here. That looks like absolute shit. FEOI. Whoa, that's some crazy volatility. From 8 to 12, that's a 4-point move pre-market. Now, that's some pretty wicked volatility. I don't really like the way it looks. But anyways, there was a couple penny stocks that moved. We had MDRR. That's fading out now. That looks like absolute garbage. OCX, I have no clue what this is. Oh, that's some good volatility. All right. When did that start moving? That started moving at 8, so that really didn't start too long ago. So keep an eye on OCX. There was this MDRX, which is an easy to borrow stock. So that might be a little bit interesting. They sold a portion of their company for 1.3 billion. VOXX, I have no clue. That actually looks pretty decent because you have a gap up and it's just trading sideways. So you got a pre-market high breakout over the regression trend at 10, 59, 11. That's interesting. I'm probably going to watch that one, VOXX. But I can tell you this, is that there are quite a few penny stocks today, okay? IDXG was the major one this morning that even I took a loss on. I tried to do a little flag trade there. I was late, and I still tried to press it. But even doing that, 3,000 shares pre-market with only doing limit orders to get slippage of only $91. I mean, that's not bad at all. That trade was for taking a bad trade, that was managed extremely well to walk away with only a $91 loss. Like that's the goal of trading, to be able to get into a trade and even be wrong and then be able to manage only taking off at a $91 loss, right? Because at 3,300 shares, every 10 cents is 330 bucks, right? And when it has a spread of sometimes 2 pennies pre-market, I mean, right there, I mean, that was a pretty well managed trade for doing poorly, okay? So I would say keep an eye on I don't really like IDXG, to be honest. We already hit resistance, and it's just getting smacked down, right? We hit resistance right there. Actually, I think it's a daily chart. Yeah, we ran into daily chart resistance right around 550s, got smacked down. So our main watch today is NIO and Tesla, and then we're just going to keep an eyeball on, let's say, EFOI. We'll keep an eye on VOXX. MDRX2 is that interesting one. So there's a couple different penny stocks that jumped up that we'll have to keep an eye on throughout the day. All right. So hope you guys like that. Hope you learned something new. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Comment whatever you want below. So for everybody that watches a video, literally just go comment the period. Hit shift period. It'll take you 2 seconds and it will greatly help me, and I do appreciate you so much. That being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.